bowling schoolmaster from Old Forge, Pennsylvania, Frank Klaus. From Detroit, Michigan, making his first appearance on championship bowling, the young Dave Soutar. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Championship Bowling. This is Fred Wolf. We're in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, at the Major League Lanes, where you're going to see our 24 stars making their second appearance starting this week. They've all bowled a total of 3 games. It's total pins for 6 games. Both of these boys have appeared once before, meeting different opponents, so it should be a very interesting match. They're interested, of course, in total pins and also in winning their match. The winner gets $1,000. The runner-up, $500. All competition is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. $10,000 for a 300 score, over $60,000 in prizes. It'll be Dave Soutar from Detroit against Frank Klaus from Old Forge, Pennsylvania. We'll be ready for game number 1 in just a moment. Frank Klaus, the professor, the bowling schoolmaster from Old Forge, Pennsylvania. It'll be school teacher and student here this week on Championship Bowling. Klaus turns one, it's got to dig, it gets there, thin, and look at that action. Frankie Klaus off with a strike. In Klaus's first match, he bowled Johnny King. He was the loser, King defeating Klaus 614 to 574. Here's Dave Soutar in his first 3 games on Championship Bowling, defeated the well-known Billy Whaloo to win $1,000. Soutar had 587. First game, too high. Look out. Up there, and oh, boy. What a wonderful way to get started. Davey, very tall lad, as you can see, 6 feet 3.5 inches. Throws that 3-finger ball. He's got a span over 5 inches across. That's an extra wide span, but he has very long fingers. A Detroit boy. He was the 1961 Michigan State Junior Champion, now in big time with the Professional Bowlers Association. Here comes the big turn. He leaves the 4-pin. So the young fellow getting his first strike, caving one in, couldn't take advantage, leaves himself a 4-pin on a very good hit. We keep repeating, get the first strike as soon as you can. Get your first double as soon as you can. Klaus, of course, still has the chance for the double at the 4-pin Soutar cover. All games start on the left side. There was a toss of the coin. Klaus won the toss. Elected to start over on the left side. All games starting from the left. That bowler bowls 1 frame, sits down, then all action goes from right to left. It's Klaus in the 2nd frame on a strike. Too high. On the nose. Breaks it up. Nothing but the 6-pin. So neither Klaus nor Soutar able to make that first strike good. Klaus started his first match against Johnny King with 190. Soutar got away with 215. At the 6-pin, cross lane. The cover, he has it. Here's a fella that in 1960 won over $75,000 on television alone. He's rolled 11 sanctioned 300 scores, the 3rd highest in ABC history. George Billick has 16, Walter Ward has 12. Gotta hurry. 5-7, he kicks the 5 out. Klaus is a former history teacher in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He attended the University of Scranton. got to be quite a bowler and decided that school teaching was wonderful, but he found professional bowling much more lucrative. At the 7th pin, he covers it up. So Klaus not getting too far away from the Detroit youngster Dave Soutar. This young fella getting a great start in the 300 department. He's already rolled 3 sanctioned perfect scores. In 1962, we had a chance to watch him shoot one. Here it is. That's it. In the Detroit City Tournament roll-offs, we were standing right behind this youngster when he put 12 in a row right in that 1-3 pocket. There wasn't much doubt about any of them. So we go to the 4th. Soutar now with a second chance for his double. He was just a bit high here in the 2nd, leaving the 4-pin. He might be thinking of that, might throw it out a little farther. Here it comes, and he carries. Well, Dave was at least a board and a half to the outside on that one. He gave it room, that big lift, and with that tremendously wide span, this fella can really crank him up. We're in the 4th for Klaus. He trails by 11 pins. Soutar with a double. Klaus will be too high. Brooklyn. Hey, right. Well, I'm sure that Frank doesn't teach that. He is a great teacher, conducts that famous clinic of his, an instruction forum, and he's conducted it all over the world. He's written a book that's entitled How to Win in Bowling. And I'll tell you, I don't know if that's in Frank's book or not, but it's a pretty good way to win if you can throw Brooklyn strikes. This can upset your opponent no end. Frank getting quite a boot out of that one, sitting on the bench there. Now, this could confuse your opponent, really. Soutar has watched 2 Brooklyns. He's thinking of Brooklyns. He doesn't want a Brooklyn. He may throw it out too far. Oop. No, sir, he was too tight. 4-pin. So this match practically even. We're halfway in game number 1. So Davy, who caved one in the 1st frame, has not been out of the pocket since. There's the cover. So at the end of 5, Klaus is 59 in the 3rd as he sits on 2 Brooklyn strikes. They look good on the score sheet. Davy Soutar is 89 spare. Soutar holding that ball below the waist. The big reach. There it is. Oh, 7-pin. Well, Davy throwing that ball in solid. Almost left the 7 that time, but he carried. So Klaus now has that situation of crossing 2 consecutive frames. He won't want to do that again. It's out there, it's coming back, and this time the solid 10. Well, there is no justice. You get 2 lucky ones and then can't carry a good one. So Klaus stops. Soutar with a strike in the 6th. This match is just 1 pin away. Soutar leading by 1 with this conversion in the 6th. Frank has the spare. Frank had started back in 1935 when he was a freshman at the University of Scranton. The students used to have an arrangement early in the morning with the proprietor that if they set their own pins, they could bowl. We're in the 7th. Frank throws this time. In, carries, all but the 5. Well, Klaus has been a little short over there twice. Left the 7-pin in the 3rd frame, this time the 5. Frankie Klaus trying to win $1,000, trying to get enough pins to possibly qualify for the finals. At the 5-pin, he has the spare. So the Detroit youngster now moves in on the right side. In his first appearance, he started with 2 200 games, slumped in his last game, but hung on to defeat Billy Welu. 587 to 573. He has a much better start this time if he can get this one. He may be off and away. We're in the 7th, on a strike. Big turn, look out, too high, 4-7. So Davey not taking any chances. He's thrown every ball at least solid or a bit tight. 2 4s, a 4-7, a cave in, and 3 strikes. All solid. There it is. So Davey covers. Davey was a bridegroom in 1962, and his lovely bride sitting in the front row. For you Detroit fans, I'm sure that you remember Dave Soutar as quite an athlete at Denby High School. There it is. Look at that. Oh, he has really been bombing that pocket. Solid. 149. Strike in the 8th. Frankie Klaus. On a spare. It's got a hey there. Look out. Look at that action. Well, Klaus really making them dance. He had the 4-7. Actually, he had the 4-7-8 up there. A lot of confusion on the left side. And those AMF tournament grade pins reacting beautifully for Frank Klaus, bowling schoolmaster from Old Forge, Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania All Events champion in 1954. Wants the double in the 9th. Throws. Look at that. This time the 7. Well, that looked like a better hit than his strike in the 8th. So Klaus has lost a 10-pin and a good 7-pin here in the 9th. A 5-pin in between. And that was all on top of a double. Hurry up, Frank. That's it. Frankie Klaus. Frank, incidentally, throwing a brand new AMF Am-Flight bowling ball, which he's been working out with here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, during the week. He knew he'd have his hands full with this youngster, Dave Soutar from Detroit. Nice and easy. That's got room. Oh, solid 10 again. Soutar really put no danger of a 4-pin there. But up jumped number 10. So he has now had 2 4-pins and a 10. And they've all been damaging to a good score. He was kicking around a 230 game. So Davey now will move to the left. 1 double to show for 8 pocket hits. He caved one in the first frame, but since then has been in the pocket solid ever since. 1-4-7, just a bit high. Might have been just the 4-pin. So the former Michigan State junior champion on the left started bowling with his dad in 1953. Finally hits the nose. That was way too high. Kicked out the 10, nothing but the 4-7. Davey turned in his first 800 series in sanctioned competition in 1961. He put together 289, 278, and 259 for 826. There it is. This is a name that you want to remember. Dave Soutar of Detroit. Another youngster on championship bowling. Ron Winger. Youngsters like Andy Marsich, Johnny Gunther. These are the stars of tomorrow as you see them on championship bowling with the greatest stars in the business. In the 10th, the count 207. Here it comes. There it is. Well, there's one of the strongest 207 games you'll ever see. 207. Soutar loses only 3 pins in counts. This match practically even. Klaus has a chance to win the first game with a double. Can he do it? Be careful. 4-7. Too tight. Wasn't too bad, really. Frank held that ball very well. Looked like he was going to go in very high. A 2-pin going right around the 4 and 7. Sometimes you just can't imagine that could happen. On the left side, the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 7, if you hit the pocket, you wonder how the 1 and 2 can get out of there. And the 4-7 remains standing. That's what makes the game so interesting. Here's a very interesting game between Frank Klaus and Dave Soutar, ending in the 10th. We have not had an open frame. Each man has had one double. Both boys have lost some very good hits. The margin will be 2 pins if Klaus gets the full count. And that could be way too high. He gets 8 pins again, this time wide open, but it will not be too damaging. It's just the count. So it's 203 for Klaus, 207 for Davey Soutar. That's the end of the first game. 2 games to go. Championship bowling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina at the Major League Lanes. This is Fred Wolf. We'll be right back after our 2 stars take a breather. Right now, a word from our hosts.
Here are the scores for the first game. Looks like a real close one going here. Frankie Klaus, 203. Davey Soutar, 207. The margin, 4 pins. 2 games to go. Are you ready? Winston-Salem, you all. Here we go.
Dave Soutar, a lead of only 4 pins. He's been in that pocket most of the way. Has not had an open frame. Rolls in. He carries. Boy, no doubt about that. Soutar, who defeated Billy Whalou in his first out, now has Frankie Klaus. These are the first 2 of our field of 24 men to make their second appearance. 6 games total pins will qualify the 2 finalists for a $15,000 added purse. Klaus is in and he carries. And that's the way we started the first game. Neither boy able to get the double in the second. Klaus picked up a double in the 4th and 5th. They were both Brooklyns. He lost a 10, a 5, and a 7 in the last 5 frames. Soutar picked his double up in the 3rd and 4th. Then lost a 4-pin, a 10-pin, 2 4-7s, and a solid 10 in the 9th on a strike really hurt him. Klaus going for 2. Big turn. Here it comes and he carries. So we have the double to start. Frankie Klaus, the bowling schoolmaster. Dave Soutar, the student. Look out. 6-10. That's the first ball that Davies really had out of there. He's had 2 4-7s, but they were not too high. This one, Davy pulled and went across, almost getting to the Brooklyn side. So Klaus now has taken the lead for the first time. 6-10, he covers. Ooh, he covered. He didn't get too much of the 10-pin, the AMF Sparemaker indicated, to put the ball between the 2 pins. This is a youngster that won the 1961 National PBA Championships in Cleveland. First time that many of the pros around the country ever heard of him, and they're going to hear more from him, I'm sure of that. 10-pin, he get it out of there. So Klaus now moves in on the right, working on a double. Been a very clean match, haven't had an open frame. Number 3, too high, look out. Almost got away with one. Well, Frankie gave that one a jerk. This right side, the boys try to hold a tight line. Anytime that the slight pull is evident, they will usually go high. That's why we've seen so many of the fellas short. They're very conscious of the pull. The result is sometimes they let the ball go too easy and it doesn't get there. Frankie with a spare. He has a 9-pin lead. Soutar on the strike in the third. And Dave has a chance to even it up. Klaus made an extended tour of Hawaii in 1961 with Bill Bonetta, another one of our great stars that you see on championship bowling. Bonetta, with one of the top scorers in the first round, will be back in another match. Frankie doesn't get there, the 2-5. Bonetta has a 660 total going for him. Next week, it'll be Billy Whaleu and young Ron Winger, the youngster from Los Angeles. The 2-5. Frank Klaus. Cover. So Dave Soutar, trailing in this one by 9, on a strike, can take the lead back with a double. Now, he was too high here in the second, but he didn't make the same mistake twice. When you realize that Dave has a 5 1/4 inch span from the thumb throughout his first finger, actually he doesn't turn that ball too much, which is the secret of using a fingertip. If you go over with it, the ball can run wild. Davey holds it pretty tight. There's a big turn. Ah, look at that. Dave Soutar very seldom smiles while he's bowling. In fact, he's very serious in most everything that he does, but a very pleasant chap to talk to, as Klaus now finds himself trailing again in the 5th. On a spare, winds one up. Here it comes. He's there. Got it. So the schoolmaster from Old Forge, Pennsylvania, storms back. This game practically even to the pin, both boys on strikes going into the 6th frame. Klaus wants to double, sets it there. Look at here, he has the 5-pin, almost a 4-5-7. Frankie had some hopes of splattering him there. He got down on one knee, and he realized that ball was not going to finish for him. And he decided that things would have to take care of themselves. The 5-pin on the strike. Soutar with a chance to extend his margin. Works on 3. The cover, Klaus has the 5. So the former Michigan State Junior champion, Dave Soutar, got his start in the Detroit News Teen Masters League. First year he bowled in this league, made up of youngsters in the Motor City. 1959, he averaged 195. Has made bowling his livelihood. Big turn sets too high, 4-7. So Soutar has yet to throw a ball on the short side. Actually, hasn't had a mixer. He has caved one in the very first frame. We can excuse him for that. He's been high once, leaving the 6-10. And he has had 3 4-7s on hits that have been too high for a strike. But Davey, who likes to keep them tight, will probably hold that line. He has an 11-pin advantage here in the second game. He won the first game by 4 pins. We're in the 7th. Throws. There he is, solid again. So Soutar bounces right back with a strike in the 7th. 138 strike as Frankie Klaus moves in the 7th, working on a spare. Klaus with that strike in the 7th, matching Dave Soutar. We go into the 8th frame, and a very close one here from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, at the Major League Bowling Lanes, with 22 bowling centers in the southeast, including Winston-Salem in North Carolina, Kannapolis, Gastonia, Concord, Wilson, Greenville, and Goldsboro. Double. Double for Klaus, and this is going to keep Mr. Soutar busy. In Virginia, you'll find a Major League Bowling Center in Danville, South Boston, Petersburg, Williamsburg, and 4 Major League Bowling Centers in Richmond, Virginia. Also in Wheeling, West Virginia. Soutar dropped it. Oh, he dropped it. What he didn't do to those 10 AMF tournament pins, he should drop a few more. That's the first thin hit that Davy has had. So he matches Klaus's double. The margin is still 11 pins. Here in the second game, Dave had a lead of 4 pins at the end of the first game in a great match. Fine exhibition of pocket shooting. We have not had an open frame as Soutar goes for his second triple. The big dig. There it is. He's got it. So Soutar really bouncing back. The strongest 207 game you'll ever see. In the first game, he lost 2 4s and a solid 10. The difference between 237 and 207. He's kicking around a possible 258. Klaus can go to 247. He is there. Oh, look at that 8-pin solid. Klaus can't afford that. 8 pins solid. Seems impossible, but Mr. Klaus has had 8 pins before, as has every bowler of any note. It's something you've got to expect. At the 8-pin, Klaus has the spin. Well, in Frank's book called How to Win in Bowling, I don't know if he has a chapter on not leaving the 8-pin on a double or not. He may add a chapter to that book. A very interesting book, incidentally. We've had the pleasure of reading it. How to Win in Bowling. Simplest way is to get all strikes, I guess. Come on, Frank, hurry up. 10-pin this time. Frankie hitting that pocket. So Klaus on the double leaves the 8-pin solid in the 9th, the 10-pin in the 10th, the cover, the count 215. Soutar still kicking around 258. Look out. Got it. Frank Klaus, a former history teacher in Old Forge, Pennsylvania. Member of the Professional Bowlers Association, AMF's bowling schoolmaster, and also a bowling proprietor in Boonton, New Jersey, the Boonton Bowl. Oh, look here. Frankie would gladly trade that one. He would have gladly given that one in the 9th or the 10th to extend that string. 215, losing some pretty good hits. That gives Klaus a total of 418 as the youngster from Detroit, the former junior champion. Likes to swim. His big hands, long reach, 6 feet, 3.5 inches. On a turkey, reaches, throws. He's there. Oh, great trade. Boy, he buried that one. No mistake about that. So Soutar has had 2 high ones this game, the 4-7, a bit high, the 6-10. This one will give him 250, and 460 for 2 could very well be around the 500 mark. Here it comes. There you are. Well, here's a beautiful game by Dave Soutar from Detroit. And we'll check with Mr. Jimmy Gleason, our statistician. I believe this is our high single game, is it not? No, we've had a 260 game, I believe, by Johnny Gunther, the Seattle Washington Star, 267. This is the second highest single game as the boys begin to wind up their second appearances. Soutar with a full count, 30 pins, 258, a total of 10 strikes out of a possible 12. In Soutar's first match, He only got 13 strikes in all 3 games. Here in the second appearance, in the second game, 10 strikes in 1 game. A great 258 for Klaus, 215, the third and final game coming up. Fred Wolf now from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We'll take a breather with our 2 bowling stars and be right back for the third and final game after these words.
Here are the scores for the second game in a great match. Frankie Klaus with 203 and 215, a total of 418. For Dave Soutar, 207. In his second game, 10 strikes out of a possible 12 for 258, the total 465. Did you like that game, ladies and gentlemen? All right. The margin, 47 pins. Soutar has them. We're ready for the third and final.
Frank Klaus, the professor, the bowling schoolmaster from Old Forge, Pennsylvania, faces a 47-pin deficit. His young opponent, Dave Soutar, from Detroit. Klaus throws. It'll go. It's there. He's in, and Frank carries. And Klaus, who had a good one going, left a solid 8-pin in the 9th, a 10-pin in the 10th, settled for 215. Might have had 240. Soutar, with 10 strikes, was high twice. Left the 4-7 and the 6-10 for 258. Has a string of 6 in a row going for him as he starts off the third and final game. On the right side, the reach, the ball is there. That's 7 in a row for the youngster. Here's a fella that doesn't believe in too much practice. Davey says 4 or 5 games. If he feels that everything is right, he quits. Some boys just keep right on going. When he's bowling good, he says he never practices. Trying for 2. Big turn. Here it comes. 10 pin stops him on a pretty good hit. In the Akron Open in 1962, he turned in a sanctioned 300 score. Finished 5th. His high television appearance has been 640 in Detroit. There's the cover. And it looks like he's going to set a new high television performance here on Championship Bowling. This is his second match, his first Championship Bowling series. Doing very well for himself. He defeated Billy Welu his first time out. Here's Frank Klaus. Frankie sets one. He'll have to dig. Doesn't get there. Moving to the inside. Frankie lost his line, the 1, 2, and the 8. So Klaus, who was on a strike, with a chance in his 2 turns on the lanes to come up with a big triple, he could have cut that deficit in half. Now he's got a tough spare looking at him. 1, 2, 8. The ball goes through and supposedly hits the 8, but that's not the way Frank made it. He took full use of that head pin, the head pin going through and kicking the 8 out. You know, bowling is one sport in which anyone can participate, whether you're big or small, short or tall, rich or poor. And this is why bowling is excellent for curbing juvenile delinquency. Many communities have started bowling leagues for the kids. Gives them a feeling of belonging. Klaus has missed the head pin again, the 1, 2, 4. So if you're in a position to help the youngsters of your community, why don't you start a league for the kids and get them bowling on Saturday mornings? Many Rotarian groups, Kiwanis, old newsboys, all have bowling leagues for the youngsters. Look out! It's a miss. Well, they say you have to hit the pin with a ball, and Frankie hit that pin, but just did not hit it enough to knock it over. The first open frame of the match. Soutar in the third now, piling up a lead. About 60 pins to work on. 8 frames to go, and he's too high. The 6-10, nothing but the 6. In the ABC tournament in Des Moines, Iowa, with his partner and team captain John Ruggiero, In 1962, Davy finished third in the ABC Classic Doubles. He was runner-up for the 1962 Michigan State Match Game Championships. There's the cover. So Soutar with a spare in the third as we move into the fourth. Dave with 465 going in. Klaus with 418. These two fellas will be leading in 6-game totals, obviously, because they are the first two men to complete their 2 matches. Next week, it'll be Billy Whaloo and young Ron Winger. There it is. Soutar back on the strike track. In 2 weeks, Johnny King and Tony Lindemann from Detroit, King from Chicago. Then it'll be Joe Kristoff of Chicago and Bobby Kowalik from Detroit, the youngster that did such a great job in the Northbrook, Illinois Championship Bowling Series. Klaus does not get there to 2-5. So Frankie's been short 3 frames in a row. Sitting up on the players' bench, just to Klaus's right, is young Andy Marsich from Los Angeles, Hank Lauman from Los Angeles. The 2 and the 5. And the cover. As Klaus moves to the left, Lauman will meet Carmen Salvino in a future match. And a great match is going to be between Andy Marsich, the youngster you see, and Johnny Gunther from Seattle, Washington. Both these boys very much in contention. Klaus is short again, the 2-4-5. Marsich totaled 661 his first trip, and Johnny Gunther was high with 683. So these two boys should shake up the standings a bit. You'll see them in a later match. Championship Bowling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is Fred Wolf, the 2-4-5, and Frank Klaus, and he picked that one. So Klaus has had 2 opens on the left. Both first balls getting him in trouble, leaving tough spares. And he's had 4 tough ones in a row. Here's Soutar on a strike. Big reach. Here it comes. He got it. Well, there's a big double, and that's the first reaction, and there's a smile on Davy's face. You won't see that too often. At the end of 5, Klaus is 72, and Davy is on a double. Will it be 3? Too high. Too high. Kick the 4 out of there. Oh, that's the kind of break you need. Soutar crowding the 4-pin, kicking it out, piling him up on the left side. He works on 3 as the youngster now goes for the highest 3 games rolled on championship bowling thus far. 683 is tops. He needs 219. Klaus finally gets one up, leaves the 4-7. You know, since 1941, the United Service Organization has served the moral needs of America's armed forces. If you're a serviceman, or will soon be one, the USO will make your life a happier one. Klaus at the 4-7. He covers this. So Soutar, who in his first match, in defeating Billy Whaloo, opened with 215, opened this match, his second appearance on championship bowling, with 207. He came back with 205 against Whaloo. This week, 258. So the youngster's improving as Klaus gets a strike in the 7th. So Davy now moving in on the right side on 3. He needs 2 more for a 700 total. How's that? Solid 10. You cannot hit that pocket any better than that. Very interesting style here, Soutar. If you're paying much attention, just watch what he does with the ball. Once he feels his grip is the way he wants it, he holds the ball slightly below the waist. the ball doesn't travel too much. No excess motion in the wrist or the hand. He just drops it and reaches and covers the space. He has eliminated a lot of the error. By that I mean he does not have too high a backswing. Backswing just comes back about to the waist level. Doesn't change his hand position, doesn't turn over his hand, just drops the ball straight down, leaves his hand in one position. Then the downswing and the lift, which comes automatically. Of course, he has a very wide span. There's the turn, there's the ball, and another 10-pin, and that could have been 5 in a row. Dave Soutar hitting that pocket, no doubt about it. So the big names in the business don't bother this young fella. Defeating Billy Welu, and he's got Frankie Klaus on the rope. Soutar with another 10-pin in the 8th converts, still has a chance for 237, which would give him 702. He needs 4 more strikes, 3 strikes actually, and 8. There's a double. So Klaus comes back with 2. Chance for 212, which would give Klaus 630. In the 9th, Frankie's on 1 knee, on 2 knees for his 3rd strike. Well, Klaus seemed to spend a lost 4 frames somewhere. He started this game with a strike and then threw 4 out the window. Then he roars back now with a turkey as Dave Soutar in the driver's seat, too high. The 10-pin and the 700 is lost. Soutar with a comfortable margin here. He had 47 pins going in. He has 20-some pins this game. Actually, that margin cut to 10 with Klaus's double in the 8th and 9th. 10-pin he covers. So the young Detroiter now moves left. He has 29 frames filled up. No opens. He had 6 strikes the first game, 10 the second. That's a total of 16. He has had 4 strikes this game, a total of 20. And he has an opportunity for 3 more. 226. He can still shoot the highest 3 games thus far with a double. 10 pin stops him. So it'll be around the 680 figure as the youngster from Detroit, after 3 in a row, has left 4 consecutive 10 pins, 5 10 pins this game. And he converted every one of them. Nice job by Dave Soutar, the former Michigan junior champion. He weighs 155 pounds. A long boy, 6'3½". It's about the same height as Billy Welu. Welu weighs 220. There it is. No 10 pin. He got it out of there that trip. Very nice job. 215, 680, within 3 pins of Johnny Gunther's 683. Soutar's first appearance was 587. 680 will give him 1267 and put him out in front at the end of 6 games with the rest of the field to be heard from as Klaus stops on 3, leaves the 10 pin. So Frankie has his 600, and that will give Klaus around 1170. Next week it'll be Billy Welu and Ron Winger. There's the cover. Frank Klaus, the bowling schoolmaster from Old Forge, Pennsylvania. with his student, Dave Soutar. Just out of the junior ranks.
That's the way to end it, Frank. One good strike. So for 4 frames, Mr. Klaus, who left us, throwing 4 more or less out of the pocket, out the window, held him down to 191, the total 609 for the youngster, Davey Soutar, 680. Now we'll check these scores, make them official, tell you something about next week's match. This is Fred Wolf in Winston-Salem. We'll be right back after some words. Here are the scores in a great match. Frankie Klaus, 203, 215, 191. The total is 609. For Davey Soutar, 207, 258, 215. The total, 680. Did you enjoy this one, ladies and gentlemen? Hey, ladies? That's 2 wins for you. Billy Whaley, Frankie Klaus, they don't mean much to you, do they?
Oh, they mean a lot to me.
I mean, they're big names. They're big people in the business, and you just sort of brush them aside.
Well, I would say that. I think I was a little lucky.
I think you were lucky.
Yeah.
I think you're very modest. I think you could have had about 750. Don't you think so, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you.
Well, very well. Frank, what do you think of these kids? I mean, they're making it rough for you guys, aren't they?
Well, it does my heart a world of good to see a young lad like that come. He differs from the others, though.
He does?
He's not coming up. He's here.
He's here.
You're darn right.
And he's quite young to be here already,
I'll
isn't he?
say, I'd like to give him just one little tip. No matter what you're doing, Dave, whatever job you're in, quit it. Stay with bowling. There's a great future for you, believe me.
Thank you very much. Frank Klaus, Davey Soutar. We look at those totals. Soutar has 1267 for his 6 games. Frankie Klaus now in second position
Oh, good.
with 1183. Fellas, thanks. Hope to see you again.
Good luck to you.
Davey, good luck. Frank? We'll be right back with our bowling doctor, Mr. Lee Juglard, and I believe he'll have a little prescription for you, so don't go away. Well, we have Lee Juglard, the bowling doctor, and that little prescription I mentioned is this young lady right here, Georgette DeRosa. Lee, I'm going to let you take over.
Thank you very much, Fred. And I think for today we're going to give you a little demonstration on the push-away. I don't think enough people put enough stress on this because it is really important. First of all, I'd like to show you the improper method, and with the help, Georgette, if you will, the improper method of the push-away. This is used by the ladies quite often, and it's very wrong. Take a look at this. Watch how that ball goes up in the air. Now, that's a lot of weight up there, and it has to come all the way down, causing a drag on the shoulders. Now, this is wrong in 2 ways, because not only that, it gets you out of time. If you make a mistake pushing that ball up, you're going to make a mistake at the foul line when you get there at the explosion point. So make sure you do not push that ball any higher than it is right now. One more improper method is to push the ball down and out and directly forward, because once she disengages that left hand, that ball is going to hit her in the leg. Now, she doesn't want this to happen. So what she's going to do now is to go around her body with the ball. And that swing is no good, because you can see when she comes back around, she's going to be very inaccurate. The proper method of the push-away at any time is for that ball to go down and out, slightly to the right. Now, when she disengages that left hand, the ball comes straight on back for a good pendulum swing, accuracy and consistency, and that's what we want. Down and out, slightly to the right. Very good, Georgette. Thank you very much. How about that, Fred? You think that'd help you out a little bit?
Very fine. Your mention of the ball going slightly to the right, is that...
This is cricket. I mean, this is good, because then you can get a straight pendulum swing, and you can see that some people have to push that ball a little farther to the right, because they not only grew up this way, they grew out this way a little bit too, you know.
Lee, I've heard it said, too, you didn't recommend it. Is it proper to possibly have the ball a little to the right side
This
of your
is
body?
perfectly all right. In fact, a good many of the top bowlers today are holding that ball slightly to the right in order to give them a straighter, more pendulum swing, which is very good. That's a very good item, Fred.
Very good. Thank you very much.
You
I
betcha.
hope that this was a help to the ladies. Thank you very much, Georgette.
Thank you, Fred.
Please come back.
We sure will. Thanks, Fred.
Lee Juglard, Georgette DeRosa. And don't forget, ladies, you want to try that out the next time. Let's check the scores once more. Frankie Klaus had 609, Davey Soutar 680. The totals for the 6 games, Davey Soutar now on top with 1267 for his 6 games, Frank Klaus 1183. Join us next week on Championship Bowling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. here at the Major League Bowling Lanes. It'll be Big Billy Whaloo from St. Louis against young Ron Winger from Los Angeles. Fred Wolf saying, keep 'em bowling out there. Matching shirts and slacks used on championship bowling by King Louie. Championship bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us to produce championship bowling.